I think it should be working. Let's go and test this. 1 second, guys. I think it should be working though. It should be going live now. I think it should be fine. Let me know if anyone can hear me in the chat. That's my alarm's going off. Making sure I start the stream. Okay, I think it should be going live now. Let me know if anyone can hear me. What's going on, guys? Hope you're doing well. We're just going to go over FC26. My gameplay, my impression, stuff like that. I'm just going to give it like a few minutes or so for people to join the stream. Feel free to write down your questions. I'm going to start answering questions in a second. So feel free to start asking as many questions as you want about gameplay. Before I couldn't speak about, you know, what I did, what I played. I was under NDA, of course. But now I can. 1 second. I'm just going to set the stream up. You know, the last time I for those who don't know, I used to stream quite a lot actually on YouTube. I kind of stopped streaming on YouTube for a very long time. Then I moved to Twitch, but I remember I used to stream like all the time on YouTube. I used to get like FIFA 19, used to get like 300 viewers, but that was a long time ago. So what we'll do is I think we will go over is jogging into skill moves. Is it worth buying it? Well, actually, there's actually a new thing with skill moves. So what they've done is they made simplified skill moves. It's a new thing in FC26. So basically what you do is, let me just see if I can visually show you this, is you use your right analog stick. And depending on what the player has, depending on what skill moves they have, you could just flick the right analog stick into a direction. So even if you are a player like you've never done skill moves before in your life, I would say this accessibility setting now makes skill moves much more viable. Is it as quick as a normal skill move or as viable as a normal skill move? I would say no. And you can only do a certain amount of strict skill moves depending on your weak foot as well. So it's not like you can just do any skill moves. So because people are probably worried about, okay, if you get the ball and you just spam it. I do think maybe in some ways it can be sometimes too effective. But I would say this is mainly for people that are probably new at the game and probably never played the game before and maybe just never used skill moves, if that makes sense. But yeah, we'll just give me 1 second. I'm just posting that I'm going live now. But look, feel free to post any questions. I'm presuming everyone here in the chat has read this. Have you read this? This deep dive. I'm presuming everyone has this deep dive. It has all the information. And I'll probably go, what we'll do is I'll probably go through some of the sections in the deep dive as well. Like as probably some of you know, prominently the finesse shot, should I say, timed shooting has been removed from the game, completely removed. You can't even turn it back on. People have been asking me, oh look, can you turn time shooting back on? No, you can't. Once it's off, it's off. It's been removed from the game entirely. There's no setting to turn it back on. You now have precision shooting. So you want some top tips? Learn precision shooting. This is the best time to learn precision shooting because with precision shooting, you have manual control. Wherever you move your left analog stick, that ball is going to go there. We'll talk about shooting in a bit, but like sometimes goalkeepers, in some ways, they're still working on it. Don't forget, I played an early iteration, so the game is probably likely changed when historically the beta comes out in August. But I think just to avoid the stress of like, oh, you know how the game is, sometimes finishing can be bad sometimes, or let's say it doesn't get fixed in time, I would probably advocate learning time shooting, precision shooting. I saw one that had the trailer, my gameplay. I watched all five. My question is, can my opponent put constant pressure? How will my team react to AI? So this I actually can't comment on. So just a few things. Some things like I can comment on that I'm allowed to if it's been mentioned in the picture notes. Other things I just can't comment on. It's been under NDA. But I can tell you my experience. I think it's a bit too early for me to talk about pressing because I need to play against a top tier player non-stop. Like, I mean, I guess in physically with a good connection, I got to play 20 times maybe to see if they can press me into the ground. Don't forget, they've adjusted how stamina and fatigue work. So for now, the player with the ball, the player you're selected, so let's say the red marker above that player's head, that player doesn't suffer from fatigue anymore. I don't know if you guys know that. Did you guys know about that? Let me know if you did in the chat, by the way. I can see the chat. Whenever you actually write it, I can actually see things in live. When did I play it? I played it yesterday, but I've actually played this game even before as well. Can you still time free kicks? No, you can't time free kicks. I'm pretty sure 100% you can't time it. I did actually try, but they removed time finishing. Hang on, here it is. Yeah, so as you can see, look, free kicks, adjusted free kick trajectories after the removal of time finishing. So it's a bit ambiguous what it says here, but adjusted free kick trajectories. So maybe the time shooting before gave you that element of precision, because you can do like a high power shot getting in the right areas. So maybe you could argue free kicks have been changed to be more in line without time shooting. So that's what I would say with regards to that. But yeah, feel free to send the questions. Has precision shooting felt the same? I think shooting has changed. I'm sure some of you may know there's new shooting styles. So like there's you can do like a low driven lace shot. You can do every shot mechanic apart from like a chip. Maybe I should have some music in the background actually, thinking about this. But you should have some sort of should have everything apart from a chip. So obviously you can't really do a chip. Let me just put some copyright free music in. Because I just realized there's literally no background music at all. Hold on 1 second. But yeah, feel free to keep asking the questions. Will you be rewarded for manual defending? Yes, but I think when you say rewarded for manual defending, I think it's the player you're selecting which is important. I still think maybe sometimes players can get in behind too quickly. I think there's a big misunderstanding in the community, like, oh, players should be able to run. Like, you know what I'm talking about? You know, people talk about, oh, players should be able to run in behind. Let me see if I could just draw this out for you, actually. You know, for example, like here, I'm going to draw this out as best I can. Let's say this is your defensive line. Let's say this is your defenders. And let's say that's your opponent and they're running in behind. I feel like, in general, this defender over here, this defender should be quicker. Does that make sense? But a lot of people say, oh, my player catches up because they have, you know, or whatever reason they might have. But realistically speaking, it's about angles. Like if you're not running the right angle, you're probably going to lose that through ball in behind, if that makes sense. So I think that also comes into it as well. So it's not just defending in general. There's also that element as well that you got to bear in mind. Is the park the bus meta still there? What do you mean by park the bus meta? How do you do a low driven finesse? So a low driven finesse is done like this. I think you guys can see that. Chat, can you confirm? Can you see this? Yeah, this screen. That's how a low driven finesse is. I remember I never used to use copyright free music before on YouTube because I remember, I don't know if you know, if anyone remembers this, but your stream used to go down. Career mode. So career mode I can't talk about because let me just show you something. FC26. Let me just show you something. There's an image here. This one here. Can you see this image? Chat, you can all see this. Just confirm you can see this, please, yeah? Can everyone see this? Have they fixed inconsistent? They are fixing, is what I'd say. Can you book a coaching session? You can do. You can send me an email. But I'll probably be just teaching you the fundamentals. Okay, look. So look here, look. Gameplay deep dive's already come out. I can't talk about archetypes, clubs, career, or Ultimate Team. I can talk about a gameplay in Ultimate Team, but I can't tell you about any new features that are coming out until that deep dive is released, as I'm under NDA. How is shielding of the ball? Very OP. Do you remember that L2 shielding? So the Enforcer playstyle, I'm telling you, right? This Enforcer playstyle, it's no joke. Like, of course, you need to time it, but this is insanely OP. I've told the developers anyway. I've told them, I think it's probably the most meta thing in the game in the version that we played, it's the most meta thing that I've used. It was, if you know what you're doing, I was playing against top tier players, they couldn't defend against it. But I've given the feedback to them, fingers crossed they get the feedback done in time. But as it stands, this is ridiculously OP. But I've given them the feedback, I've explained to them what to change, so hopefully that has been resolved. No, anyone can do shielding. So in fact, when I did this, I was using it without the enforcer playstyle. The enforcer playstyle just turns it up like a different level, but I was doing it without the enforcer playstyle basically. So yes, it is very effective. You can do it in and out of possession. So like if you're side by side with someone, you can, just like in real life, if you're running alongside someone and let's say the ball is far away, you can basically kind of barge, or in the UK we call it barging, but shoulder to shoulder. But yeah, it's pretty. But they are aware of it. Hang on, I'm just gonna play some music in the background. Chat, tell me if the music is too loud. Okay, I'm gonna put some like low music in the background. Chat, is the music too loud? Let me know. Music's too loud. But yeah, so there is, of course, new playstyles. There's the inventive. So what they've also done is they've reduced trivelas. So it's been kind of gated. So aerial fortress is more of a defensive playstyle. You have precision header. Then you have inventive, which is basically like a trivela pass per se. So anyone that can do those fancy passes. I think the example they give is like Xavi. And then you have the game changers. So maybe someone like Quaresma, someone like Yamal. So the finesses are basically being gated. It was one thing that I was being talking about for a long time. Do you remember I was saying for ages they had to really remove traverse outside the box? I've been talking about it for weeks, not weeks, years. But the game is much more complicated to adjust than you think. It's not like just turning a volume knob and just increasing it. If you change one thing, everything else changes. And that's why they needed to remove time finishing. Because from my understanding, I'm trying to do my best way of explaining it, but I went over the interview yesterday. But with time finishing, what it is when the reason why, like, so what they use is, in general, we felt time finishing didn't add meaningful skill. It's true. You just press on a square button again. It proved difficult to balance. It disproportionately rewarded long-range shots and felt inconsistent at high-level pressure moments. So the reason why this happened is, I'm going to, again, do some terrible drawings, but I hope you guys appreciate these terrible drawings. Let me just old school OG paint. But let's say this is the goal. And let's say that's the penalty and that's the penalty arc. The problem is, from this situation, let's say all the shot distribution was in this region. So it can go from here to roughly there. Okay. So I'm just going to show all the shot distributions in yellow. Okay. So the chance it can go inside the net, but it can also go outside the net. Do you see that? When you have a green time shot, it narrows that window. So when they were trying to adjust it, if I understand this correctly, but don't quote me, I could be wrong here. First, you have to do the finishing, but then time shooting was on top of that. So whatever you try to standardize, everything that you added to that, time shoot was added to that, so it could make something more OP. So it was hard to balance it because there was two things you have to worry about. You have to make finishing good enough as it is, but then you have to worry about, okay, then if someone timed it, it becomes even more OP or even more better shot. So that was the issue when it came to time finishing. So that is why they removed it from the game. In fact, I think it's a good thing, to be honest. I don't know, how do you guys feel about time finishing being removed? They replaced it. So now, remember the old school FIFA 18 double tap the shoot button? Well, I press square, but most you press circle. So anything becomes a low driven. So you can do a low driven volley. You can do a low driven power shot. Well, you could do that anyway. Technically, we done a 30% power last year. A low driven lace, low driven finesse. Like a Thierry Henry type shot, all of those, if that makes sense. What do you think about the time shooting? Because it'd be interesting to know what you guys think. You know, maybe was it a bad idea? What did you guys think about it? And let me know if we got a chat. Is the music too loud? Is the music too loud, by the way? The beta should be released. Historically, it's released in August. That's all I can say. So historically speaking, it's always released in August. Normally it's early August. Unless they do some crazy radical change this year, it'll probably be released as it normally is in August. You don't hear the music? Even better. What about now? You should be able to hear it very faintly in the background. Very faintly. It's very, very faintly. Can you turn shadows off in online? Yes, you can. So shadows can be turned off. This accessibility feature, oh my god, this is like, I don't know how you guys feel, but do you remember like when you used to go into a game and oh my god, you couldn't even play properly because there were shadows in the way? Now you can adjust all of that. You can adjust the player color, you can adjust the goalkeeper. Do you remember having a goalkeeper and the referee being the same color? Do you remember that? So you can adjust all of that as well. So that's all been changed. So yes, you can change this. Shadows, honestly, I can't believe they never did it sooner, but yeah, you agree. Can you protect the shieldable from AI? Yes, you can. So the meta might not be strong players. I made it in, there was an interview yesterday. The meta is probably still going to be short players, but taller players are better at dribbling. So someone like Haaland before, they felt like a truck. Do you remember? I think about Haaland before. It felt like a truck, didn't they? Now they feel a bit more smoother, but someone who's short are going to be much better, if that makes sense. Is the L2 curved pass? Is a ping pass still usable? Ping pass is... Passing in general is quick. Maybe you could argue too quick. I think for the average person, it's probably going to be too quick. But they can always... I always say go a bit extreme. You can always tone it down as opposed to going muted and then kind of increasing something. It's better to go extreme when they release something and tone it down, in my opinion. What do you think about gameplay? So inconsistent gameplay. So I want to refer more to animations as opposed to... Because there's always... I need... See, look, the version that we played, it was online and it was offline. The thing is, I have to wait for the game to come out with official proper servers before I even comment on inconsistent gameplay. So I'm going to leave it, but I can tell you the game felt more responsive. There's progression in the way the game feels responsive. As I always give an example, look, the ship was previously, let's say FC was a ship. It could have leaking water, but it was never sailing in the right direction, I would say. With this year, it's most definitely sailing in the right direction. That's the most important thing. At least it's going in the right direction. It's progression. But I will tell you, I've never played such a differing FC. Normally there's slight differences. You know how it is. Every single year there's a slight difference, some new features. This year there's hardly any new features. They've predominantly focused on all the fundamentals, refining things, making things balanced. Playstyles are too overpowered. This is something I've been calling for years. In fact, maybe you could argue when the 7% loss in revenue, or share price, should I say, maybe it pushed these things on. You never know. But I've been saying to do this for years. But obviously, it's a bit different. I'm not in. Obviously, in corporations, it's completely different. But this is what they should have done years ago. Remember, I was talking about this for years, that they should have spent a year doing this. But I think, obviously, in corporations, you're afraid to do something like this, especially if you're getting growth year on year on year. So I think it was an important step in the right direction. Does passing feel more fluid? Yes. So you can do a Tony Cruz. What do you mean like that? What do you mean by a Tony Cruz? So if you want to do a low driven, you do a low driven finesse. Think of like a Thierry Henry cutting on the inside, like going on the outside, cutting on a right foot, open the body up, and then doing a low driven finesse. That is effectively what you can do. Does it feel like FIFA 18 pre-patch? FIFA 18 pre-patch was not a good game. I think defending was... So when people talk about FIFA 18 pre-patch, I'll tell you something. It's important. FIFA 18 pre-patch was a shambles of a game. It was a very good game to what people consider, because people don't remember FIFA 18 pre-patch. If you remember FUT Champs FIFA 18 pre-patch in the high divisions, the game was ping pong FC. And I think that's what you have to bear in mind. However, FIFA 18 pre-patch, the lack of AI defending, where you're basically left on your own, in my opinion, is a perfect defending system. They have toned down AI defending and made the game more rewarding, but it's not like FIFA 18 pre-patch defending. I think people they glorified as FIFA 18 pre-patch, but I made it. I'll make it a video on that very soon. I'm like where I rank all FCs. FIFA 18 pre-patch was actually a good game, but I think it's been over glorified. People didn't really play the game, saying, "Oh, it's the best game ever." When they're probably like in Division 7 talking about it. So that's something just to bear in mind. It's all marketing to get us all hyped. Same. No, listen, I'm telling you, this is different. Now, you guys know me. I'm an honest guy. Look, you guys know I'm a no BS guy. Say as it is. I say things that even you as viewers probably don't like it. Maybe if I say something different, some people will like me more. But you guys know me. I'm a no BS guy. Say things how it is. I'm always going to be honest with you. Will there be patches done separately? I'm actually not too sure about that. So you're asking for authentic and competitive. I'm actually not too sure, but I will actually write that down. And I'll ask the developers and I'll get back to you. So authentic. So basically, authentic is only for player career, offline kickoff, and manager mode. However, you can still play competitive in those game modes as well. Splitting the game up into 2 different game modes was one of the most important things ever, because the issue that you had is, and this is what I tried to explain, you had people that want realistic F's football where they play 30 minutes one half. And then you want people that want competitive online arcadey gameplay. You can't have both. And what they tried to do is they tried to mash it together, and that's where the issue started. So now they've at least split up so they can adjust them independently from my understanding. How they do it, I'm not too sure, but I'm presuming they can simultaneously do it or make the changes. If that makes sense. A header's more likely manual. I think in general, yes. Have you tried the new corner setups? Yes, I have. Is this finally the great year of gameplay? I'm hoping so. Look, guys, look, you have to understand. You guys, I'm sure. Do you guys know about the Gameplay Design Council? Like, do you guys know about it? Just a quick question. Is anyone like, what's your general opinion on it? It would be interesting to know what. Be honest, be candid. So I've been giving feedback for years before I was even part of this Gameplay Design Council. So I was chosen because I was giving, like, you guys know me how I do my videos, in-depth detail about the game, trying to improve it. So I've been doing it for some time, but it takes a long time. Look, a lot of this feedback, sometimes things have been implemented this year. I've suggested it a year ago, for example. Maybe they couldn't do it, or maybe they tried to do it, or maybe they didn't want to do it, or maybe something was a low priority. These are all the things you got to take into account. Sellout. So explain to me how my sellout fertile. Spencer says, is this start the new FC? I hope so. I said, so I hope so. Look, that's the most important thing. Maton says, how is left stick dribbling? Left stick dribbling, much more responsive. It's very good. I would say it's almost old genish. I think Kancho did a very good job of explaining it. It's like animations. Like before, they used to register animations like 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, one. But now it's like this. So they're registering more of the left stick movements from your left stick. That makes it more responsive. I probably butchered the way of explaining that. He did a much better job. Watch that interview from yesterday. But left stick is much more responsive. You know, in previous years, you guys know, especially in new gen, left stick was always a sticky point. And it doesn't matter whether you flicked your left stick or rotated it. In fact, do you remember last year, the game was almost unplayable when it came out? I was one of the first people, every single year, you know, I'm critical when the game comes out. In fact, I'm probably one of the few creators that actually predicts the problems in the game in the first month. When everyone else starts understanding it in March, I know it in the first month. So that December patch really came in clutch. But from what I've experienced, left stick is very good. I was actually genuinely surprised how good it was. But I would like it even better. I think, as I said, because they split authentic up, let that be slower. Let left stick dribbling be terrible on authentic, for example. I'm a bit hyperbole here, but let it be terrible. But let the most responsive and quickest one being competitive. Because I think, realistically, us as competitive players, you want fast gameplay. Does this feel like a new patch? No, it feels like a new game. First time I would say that. Will the AI still shot when you shot down when you perform the cutback? What do you mean by that? Is the speed boost still a thing? No. They've reduced the speed boost. They've also made players more agile. So if you remember this, so think about when you're a defender. Look, players are more agile where, like, you can see before they move very lethargically. It's almost like they've got like a 20 kg weight on their back. Like they're in the gym to have hold like with a backpack with 20 kg weights. So when they change direction, they're running so slowly. You can see that in animation, for example, over here. And in 26, you can see it's much more fluid, much more responsive. They drop their weight and they turn as you would in real life. And alongside that, jockeying is being improved. So in S25, it was a bit more of like a static mechanical jockey, and it wasn't really as fluid. Whereas this year, it's a bit more fluid in the movement. So I would say they've balanced it quite well, speed boost. So they've been removed it, but everyone's kind of increased up, if that makes sense. No glazing to other problems. So I'll ask you a question. You answer my question first on how you think I'm a sellout. Then I'll answer your question. Because you have to explain how I am, because I'll be interested to know, because normally as low IQ people kind of say those kind of comments. I just want to understand that. Do you know the dates of the deep dive? So the dates of the deep dive, I can't tell you. All I know is architects and clubs are coming up. Again, there's certain things I can't talk about. I'm still under NDA, still under embargo. So I can't talk. But when these things come out, like I can talk about Ultimate Team gameplay or gameplay from career mode or kickoff or an authentic gameplay, but I can't talk about, for example, what's the new features, what's this, what's that. So certain things, of course, I'm not allowed to speak about. What about training? Will training with centimeters be usable? This is actually a question that I actually had. Boehner made a good video, had a good video with, I think he had Thomas Kalefi as well. What they've done apparently is they made centimeters, the distribution of how they're positioned, a bit more better. What I would say is CDMs are still quite effective. That's what I would say. I think they need to still balance that. They still have time. That's why I think this beta is going to be so important in August. But I would like I would like centimeters to be more involved in attack. There's a new thing, hang on, let me just make sure. Let me just make sure it's been released. Okay, thankfully it got released. Box Crasher. So CDMs can actually go forward now and attack. You remember last year, CDMs just usually just stay back. They weren't involved in the attack unless you did an L1 trigger. Box Crashers, they now go forward this year. But yeah, it's interesting. What did you guys think about the patch notes? Call it pitch notes, right? The FC deep dive pitch notes. Do you think taller players will be meta? I think, you know what? I'll be honest, this year will be interesting. The tall players are more agility. This enforcer is very effective as well. Shielding with the taller players is much more viable. You're still going to need pace though. Like, don't expect someone with 30 pace being effective. That's not going to be the case. Tackle spamming. So they've adjusted tackle spamming. If you remember, I'm just going to, by the way, I'll give you a quick link. If you type this in, neal.to/patch, click, if you type that in your URL for future reference, it'll take you to this page. It's a short link that I made. This from last year. Hang on, I think it was 17. Yes, so they basically kind of fixed this last year. So technically, FC25 now, they've reduced the tackle spamming, and they've reduced it further, if I'm not mistaken, in FC26. So there's still, so no, you won't be able to. Like tackling from behind is much less frequent as well, I would say. I feel like you only talk about the super. But what do you mean by that, Popping? You have to, yeah, again, you have to be honest. You have to, if you're going to ask me a question, be a bit more fluid. I mean, be a bit more candid. Say as it is. Don't worry about sugarcoating it. FC26 cheers. I can't really comment on that. I only play the console version. I can't really comment on it. What don't you understand? We just want this to be honest. Well, I am being honest. I mean, I'm the most honest creator out there. In fact, I say what the issues are in the game in the first month when everyone starts crying about it in March. I've always been honest. And in fact, I actually lose money by going, when I go to Vancouver, people don't understand this. Number one, we don't get paid. Use your brain. But number two, more importantly, we don't understand this. Us as creators, we lose money. Because when I go there, I am taking time away from my own business. So I'm actually losing money by going to these events. But this is an opportunity to make content. And of course, through content, you can make your money back, or you can have an insight. For me, it's about insight in the game. I never did this for the money. That's why I spent ages giving feedback, going beyond what's required of me to give feedback. I'm not a paid actor. I'm not like, but I'm also not clueless. Like some people are just absolutely clueless. So I'm going to be honest with you. Some people just don't know what they're talking about. So, you know, we're under NDA. There's only certain things. People are saying, oh, why don't you talk about the game? Well, we can't. We're under NDA. For those who don't understand, when you're under NDA, we're probably going to get sued for 20 times the salary both your parents earn. So you have to understand, we can't break NDAs. That's why we can't talk about certain things that are not released. That's why, for example, I couldn't even mention I was part of the Gameplay Design Council. I know some of you saw pictures from me in Vancouver over the past few years, but I wasn't actually allowed to say anything. It's only recently when they said it and I can announce, okay, I was part of the Design Council and I also played the game earlier. I couldn't mention that either because I was under NDA. What about attacking AI? Attacking AI, very interesting. They have basically improved runs. So they've basically made better runs. I think they need to improve this further. So this is something that I've given them feedback on. I think, remember last year, I feel like you need player lock for players to make movements in behind. You couldn't just rely on AI. But now those AIs are making more frequent runs. Let's say you have the ball on the left-hand side, or let's say you're running down the wing, for example. Let me just delete this terrible depiction of a box. Let's say you're running down the wing, for example, and let's say that's the box. Maybe the opposite person will make that more frequent run where they wouldn't have done previously. However, I think they need to also increase that, I would say. So yes, there is more attacking AI, but I'd want them to go even further. That's my thing. Will 4-2-1-3 still be meta? I think some formations are more viable. There's more roles, but I think it'll probably be up there. I'll be honest. Did they bring back the option to change player position in career mode? What do you mean by that, Alex? Sorry, I'm not really that knowledgeable on career mode. Do you mean in gameplay? What are you referring to exactly? Is the cutback still OP? It depends. Do you guys think cutback's OP in FC25? I don't think it's that as OP as people make it out to be. Thoughts on goalkeepers being reworked? Okay, so I think again this is an issue where there's different versions of the game that we play. In my opinion, the version of the game that I played, I like goalkeepers, but I feel like finishing should be more rewarding. So I've given them the feedback. I hope they because what everyone else wants, they want finishing to be, goalkeepers to be good. I want goalkeepers to be bad. I want when you beat a defense, you should be rewarded. And that was what we talked about in the interview yesterday. So I think that was the most important thing, is to make the game more rewarding. What does Composure actually do? Yes, what you said effectively. Excuse me, Monk. If someone is near you, so how the Composure stat will work. So I'm going to try to draw this again, but this might be, again, an absolute terrible depiction. But here we go. So let's say, for example, you have a shot on goal, right? Let's say this is the goal, and let's say your player's here. If there's a player next to you, like let's say an opponent, the better Composure stat, the higher chance that this shot has got a better success rate. Now, I can't tell you the exact percentages because I don't actually know. I've seen them, but I just can't remember them. I don't even know if I can even mention that. But so if a player is next to you, that Composure stat's going to be important. So when you're taking a shot, if there's no one around you in the vicinity, then you're good. But the higher Composure stat you have, there's someone in the proximity of you, like let's say someone close by, just like in real life, that is going to affect your shot effectively. So that is how Composure works. It's been there for a few years, though, however, if anyone that's wondering. But this game has been bad. Is it any possible to believe that's got better? Well, I've always split. I don't think anyone splits facts more than me, to be honest, in this entire community. I mean, these people that know what they're talking about. Does Kunde think your first signing? Yeah, he'll be my first signing. Our kickoff still OP. Honestly, I can't comment on that. I'll be honest. But they've adjusted how defensive AI appears, but that one we'll have to see when the game comes out. To give us an idea, what would you rate FC25 out of 10? Okay, FC26 out of 10. Okay, FC25 out of 10, I'll give like a 5. I think pre-patch 2, I'll give FC25 pre-patch, like pre-January patch, a 2, maybe even a 3. FC25 post-January patch, maybe I'll give it a 5, maybe a 6 in certain areas. I would say FC26 is better. That's what I would say. Without a shadow of a doubt. Will it be an option to change? I don't know about that one. Really, I don't know about career mode. your donut. Thank you very much for the 999. Thank you very much for the donation, my friend. Again, sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat. Is player locked passing fixed? The AI never gives the pass which is requested. I'm not too sure about that, Avro. I have to get back to you. I honestly am not too sure about that because I've not tried that. That's actually a good point. I'll get back to you with that. With dribbling, is it defending balanced? With better dribbling, is defending balanced enough? I think the jockey playstyle, as I mentioned to you, has always been the best playstyle for defending. It's better than, like, people say anticipate and bruiser, but statistically speaking, jockey, like I'll tell you from coaching thousands of students, okay? Jockey will help the average person, the jockey playstyle plus, more than any other playstyle. Maybe if you isolate, anticipate in these few situations, last year in F25, but now rebounds are gone, so anticipate won't be as powerful in 26 as it was in 25. But let's say bruiser, but you can isolate those few incidents, but those situations in general, jockey is still going to help you statistically over the chances. Come brother, sent a super chat asking the question where there's input delay. Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat. Where is your question? Apologies if I do miss anything, just do bear in mind. Input delay. I'm just going through the chat systematically. Input delay, I would say there's less, because what they've done is as I mentioned before, they've adjusted the animations. What they've done is they made the gameplay much more responsive. So if you go, for example, I think what's the section called in a deep dive? So we go over here to online responsiveness, right? Okay, 1 second, let it load. So like, if we go over here to online responsiveness. So what they've done is, by splitting up the game, they can effectively tune the most valuable, well not valuable, but the more realistic, should I say, version of the game, the authentic version, and then also the most common version, competitive. I would say input delay, the version that we played, is much less, because left stick dribbling is more responsive. Like first touch passes, like this is insane, like these first touch passes, because when you get the ball, you could basically make the pass at the latest animation possible. So I would recommend using late. So your player settings, I would say now is the best time. You're playing S25, turn your settings to late, because now when you make that pass, you can make that pass at that last second, which you couldn't do before. And that's why I feel like sometimes your player will do that extra animation to take that touch. They don't do it as much. So it's much more responsive from that side. In terms of input delay, remember they said over 50% of people, how many people in the chat still play on Wi-Fi? I was shocked to know that 50% of people still play on Wi-Fi, if that makes sense. Any news about goalkeeper evolutions? I can't comment on that. What's going on, Shafiq? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Manual goalkeeper movement. I'll be honest, I don't like manual goalkeeper movement. However, this is the most important thing. If goalkeeper movement is there and finishing is good, then goalkeeper movement will not be an issue. This is what people don't understand. When I say I like goalkeeper movement, if finishing is good, that means that it's only if I'm absolutely precise that I make that movement and I predict what I'm doing. The issue is when goalkeepers are overpowered or finishing is bad, and then goalkeeper movement is a bigger problem. However, goalkeeper movement is not a problem if finishing is good and goalkeepers are not as effective. It's very, very important to know. A lot of people don't understand that difference. That makes sense. So that's what I would say. So bear in mind, it still is there, but I would say it's more of a finishing and a shot power issue. But let me know if you guys still use Wi-Fi. I'm genuinely curious if anyone still uses Wi-Fi in the chat. Of course, remember, you should be, no worries. It's not that better to get. It's not that difficult to be better than FC25. I mean, in some ways, you're not wrong. FC25 was not a 5 or 6. The game was not good at all. I don't know how your maths is, but 5 out of 10 doesn't mean good, does it? It means. And by the way, I said FC25 post-patch. Pre-patch, probably give it a 2. After the January patch, when people were AI defending, got caught out, FC24, in my opinion, was worse than the January post-patch. When two players are on versatile, let's say a cam and a winger get injured positions, or both cams, versatile just means that So the way that they word it, I think it's the role. Is it here? Okay. The way that I word it is specific roles make roles more rigid. I would probably say versatile just does all the movement. That's probably just the best way to put like a blanket statement over the whole thing. I would say versatile just means they do all. So like a winger, if this like let's say, I'll give you an example like in real life. Let's say you have a back four, yeah? Let's say you have a back four. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have someone like a winger on winger, let's say they're just the actual roles winger. If there's obviously a massive great space in behind, you'd want them to exploit that space. The best I can probably explain it is versatile will look to stay in their position, but they will also not be just natively stuck in their static position. They would, if there is obvious space available, they would try to then of course go into that. So that's probably the best way that I would probably describe versatile. Maybe not the best way of describing it, but I would say that's the way. When they say swap sides with another versatile winger, I think it would depend purely on if you had your left wing and you moved your left wing all across to the right hand side, they will move. But they do that anyway, if that makes sense. Like if you move a player out of position, there's like fill position, if that makes sense. Why don't they add attack width and defense in custom tactics? Remus, I completely agree. I don't know why, but I think they should. Assist is not removed. Precision will be better. Yeah, so time shooting is being removed. Assisted is still there. Precision shooting, I would probably advocate trying it now. You think there's a bigger skill gap than the previous years? I think there will be. I would like them to go a bit more manual on the defending. That's my kind of opinion, but I don't think they will go as manual as I'm going to be honest. Most people in this chat, if I like FIFA 18 pre-patch manual, most people in this chat, like 99%, would just concede like 10 goals. And a lot of you guys will complain. So I think they have to get that balance right as well. I think a lot of people want not that much AI defending, but a lot of people don't know how to defend as well. I think when people look at defending, they think, okay, when I'm attacking, I can beat my opponent, but they don't think about how they can concede. So I think the balance, getting the balance is key. But if you're asking me, I would want AI defending to be a bit more. The good thing is this is the first year that they split authentic and competitive up, so they can see how it is. And I think that's what that beta that comes out in August will be very, very important. Average player cannot run an Ethernet cable from the router. You're right, Index, but do you know you can use a powerline Ethernet adapter? So if you're part of the page, I'm going to make a video this year on connectivity. Normally I keep it for the Patreon, but you can use something like this and you don't even need to plug anything in. See that? So you can do something like that. It does depend on, you know, your wiring and circuitry in your house, but if you can't run a wire, that's something that you can do. Did they remove hypermotion? I don't know. I don't want to say they did, but I can maybe say they removed, because I don't actually know. But if you're talking about hyper emotion animation, is that what you're referring to? I do agree that cutbacks can be effective, but I don't think they're as effective here this year. I feel like cutbacks were effective in FC24, overly effective. Whereas this year, I'll be honest, when I defend, I don't really concede cutbacks because I use a lot of manual defending. I think if you're relying on AI defending, I think it's an issue. But they've tuned the way AI defense is. So AI movement for fullbacks. Let me see if I can go here. So what they've done is they've tweaked the roles to avoid congestion. And also the way those fullbacks react to 4-2-1-3, because that was the issue with 4-2-1-3, and they've also impacted the runs. So I personally would say cutback's not as effective as people make it out to be. Is storage still a thing? You mean FC Ultimate Team? I can't comment on that. I can only comment on that when the Ultimate Team Deep Dive comes out. But look, as I said, I just want the most arcadey, quick, fun, and responsive game. That is what I want. If you're asking me, that's what I've been fighting for years. Some people are under the impression that I wanted this slow gameplay. I've been saying this since day one. Everyone's been jumping on his bandwagon after. But I've been saying, I don't know. So just to make it clear for anyone that's new here, I've always been arcade game, quick, fast, responsive. That's what I wanted. If you drop Silva from a run and centre mid, will Foden drop back? No. Unless I'm misreading him. They're training. Can't say anything about clubs. How was your experience? I'm probably gonna. It was a good positive experience. I think it was big changes. I mean, look, what would you guys think of FC20? I mean, look, from the trailer, I know obviously it's good marketing, and you're probably quite right, but I think this is the first time I've seen a big difference in the game. I mean, normally you see like 10-20% maybe year on year. This is a big one, I would say. Like, you remember that January patch that came up for FC25? It was a real big difference. This is like one of those as well. Make it up to BM in Division 2. And there's absolutely no one going through the middle. Everyone to the corner flag. But that's because everyone defends the center. Did you ask them why they waited 7 years to improve gameplay and responsiveness? I don't know, but I've been barking for 7 years as well. I've been telling them the same thing. Like, I think a lot of people are just under this impression that us as creators suddenly just started saying this now. We've been saying this for years. I've made videos on, go back to my videos, I've been saying this for years. That dude on Foot Accountant stream already confirmed the same amount of SBC storage. Aaron, if that might be a good point, I'd recommend watching Foot. He also, Foot Accountant, I've seen that stream as well. He made an interview with the Foot Economist. If he confirmed it, then he confirmed it, but I'm not allowed to personally speak on it. But that's what I'll say. Are any of the new skill moves meta? Yeah, one of them is very OP. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. One of them is ridiculously OP, but hopefully they reduce that. Hopefully, but let's see. One of them is very effective. I'm sure you can guess which one, right? Is the Trickster fake shot still OP? I can't use a card without it. I think you may need to use a new playstyle, no? I actually don't know. Which the Trickster playstyle, the fake shot. I think they've not changed it. I don't think they've changed it. You're talking about the 45-degree one, yeah? The 45-degree one, that's what you're talking about, yeah? What's the purpose of an inverted wingback? Okay, so how many of you guys watch Arsenal? In the chat, I think, okay, maybe Arsenal the best example. I think, look, they basically, so I would say, okay, I was going to use Marcel Lewis Skelly as an example, but that's not the correct example. I'm going to change it. So how it is let's say, I'm going to try to draw this out for you. Hold on, let me try drawing this out for you. So let's say you have, I'm just going to put here a 4-4-2. So these players here, this inverted wingback, what they will do is they will go in between sometimes. So let's say this player moved up here. So it would go in between the half space. So in between the winger and the left striker, for example. Honestly, in terms of roles, my favorite role. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite role anyway. That's my opinion. For me, it's my favorite one. I actually really like it. All it takes is one patch from EA. What do you mean by that? But downplaying cutbacks is diabolical. I understand. I'm not downplaying cutbacks, but I'm just saying that I'm a good defender. Maybe you're not good as defending as me, and that's why you can see a lot more cutbacks. It is an OP way of scoring, but recycling from the corner flag has always been a thing in the past 7-8 years. That's because naturally people defend the central areas. But I'm saying, I don't think it's much of an issue people make it. There's bigger issues last year, like trivelas, that they've changed now. Thank the Lord. I've been crying about that for like years. I like to speak about the skill gap. I am. What's your question? I just want to use gold salad at left wing, best second as possible, as redesign with Moles. What they've done as well is they've basically changed like the effectiveness. So remember before, like, do you remember if you put like a left wing on a right hand side? Do you remember, like, out of position, they would just stand there. In position, they just stand there. What they've done is they've reduced the base level of that AI. So you should not still play a play out of position, but they're not as static as they once were. At least they move a little bit more. As before, they would just stand there. Like they will literally just strimmer, they'll just literally just stand there and not move. Because like Saka, for example, in real life, Saka plays as a right wing, but he's also moved back to right back. He's played left back many times. Martinelli, he's moved to left back. So how can a professional player not play another position? So they've tuned it up, thankfully, because that was silly. I mean, a centre mid can't play. A CDM couldn't play centre mid. It was silly, but they basically adjusted that now. It's not going to be as effective, but as like a normal role, but they've increased that, if that makes sense. 3-back still viable. It's become, okay, I would say it's become, where is it, wide back. It's become more usable, viable, maybe a different wording, maybe a different meaning altogether, but I would say it's become more usable. I would say with the wide back, they cover for the fullbacks, the way the left mid and right mid are, changed a little bit as well, positioning. I would say it's become more usable. Viable, that's a differing opinion if you're asking me, but I would say more usable. Yeah. I have absolutely no idea who that is. But yeah, feel free to ask any other questions. What about trivela and finesse outside the box? I'll be honest, personally, I've not actually used it that much. I think it's reduced the frequency because I don't score trivelas. You know, I don't do any of that mechanic BS. I play just basic football. You know me. I don't do this. Like this is another reason why I think this. Like when people say they're like an elite division player, half of these players are not elite division players. It's because just because you spam finesses or trivelas from outside the box, in my opinion, doesn't make you a good player. So that's why I think a lot of people think they're going to be a high level player. They might get caught out this year. But then again, they might abuse something else, so you never know. Do you think genuinely FC26 is fixed worth buying? If you're still unsure, I would say, look, if you get invited to the beta, play the beta. I'll make it. Do you guys know how to get access to the beta? I'll make a video soon. Historically comes out every year in August. But if you're still unsure, you can always try the game on EA trial for 10 hours. No, I'm not going to be a fairy and say, oh, you should always all pre-order it. I mean, look, I'm going to play the game regardless. 99% of chat are going to play it regardless. But if you're unsure, wait for the beta and then or play the game 10 hours early access and EA Play, then make a decision. For me, the first month of the game, any game that comes out, whether it's a good year or a bad year, the first month, you all know, is the best part of any game. I mean, that's what I would say. In the past games, you could press square when looking at a squad change position. Do you know if they brought that back? They can press square. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Alex. I don't think so. I'm not aware of what you're talking about. What they've done with Super Relax is they've reduced the difference between them, if that makes sense, between the role pluses and everything. Sorry, my friend, you're going to have to speak English. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry, I'm trying to Google translate it, but I don't know. Sorry. Is ball playing goalkeepers good? There's of course a risk. You use ball playing goalkeepers. I like it, but I think most people are going to keep goalkeepers being slightly more conservative, reserved. So because I think that the big issue is a lot of people are probably going to fear. Like, let me ask you a question. How many of you guys rush out with goalkeepers right now or run forward with like a ball playing keeper? Not many people use it, but I like it. I was curious what to do about skill gap, what people need to master, stand out, FC26. Those videos will be coming out very soon. What's your experience with the servers? So I'll have to wait for the beta to come out, because if I say an opinion now on the servers, I'm going to get quoted. I would say the gameplay is more responsive. Don't think magically everything's going to be as perfect as you think. Like if you're still playing on Wi-Fi, what are you doing in 2026? But I would say they've improved responsiveness, but servers, we're gonna have to wait, because even on the builds that I played, after I'm playing either offline again, well not offline, but I'm playing against someone, there it's a bit different. I need to sit in my home, play on my connection, and then see how it is. Then I can honestly give my honest opinion. But I don't want to say it's bad because it could be good. I don't want to say it's good because it could be bad. But at the end of the day, they're making progress, which is, they weren't making progress before. They are now. That's the most important thing. I got 12 wins with 0 trivelas, play lots of speed boost. You're like me. I don't play that way as well. Is it worth pre-ordering for the icon? I think it is. Just out of curiosity, how many people are going to pre-order the game? The most important thing, the reason to pre-order, if you're asking me personally speaking, I don't care about this. In 1 of 15 icons untradeable. Let's use our common sense, guys. I don't know what some people are living in some fantasy land, like with some dreamland where you're going to get 91 Ronaldo. It will be like an 84 rated Ronaldo, an 81 rated Ronaldo. Like Heroes last year, like an 84 rated Ibra, maybe like a younger career version that may get upgraded later on. Don't expect, and even then it's going to be like a 1 in a million chance of getting R9. It's not 1 in 15. However, the additional evolution slot is so important. You get the season 1 premium pass, which last year cost about, was it 1,000 FP points for free? And then you get 6,000 FP points over the 2 years. I think the most important thing is 7 days early access and additional player slot evolution. Let's be realistic. I think most people are, look, unless you're a student, most people are going to pre-order the game. Let's be realistic. Unless you're like a student or maybe you're younger, but I think most adults are probably going to pre-order the game. You're getting more value back. I've already made a video on this anyway. Whether you want to pre-order it, it's up to you. You don't have to. I've already, as I mentioned this. Do you think, when's the club's deep dive? July. I don't know. Could be anywhere from today to the end of July. I'm not too sure. Excuse me. The pace of the game is much quicker. I'm still tired. I literally just flew back last night from Vancouver. 24 hours, no sleep. Edited the video. I edited this video that I made yesterday. Go check out this video, by the way, guys. I speak to the lead gameplay designer. We went over everything. There's actually some key tips here. Very, very nice guy, Ken Show. Very open. Answered all my questions. Didn't reject anything. That's like it's 25 minutes long, so you can watch that again after this video in your own time. If there's anything else you have regarding that, but keep the questions coming, man. I actually really enjoy doing this. I kind of miss the old school streams. If anyone is an OG viewer, do let me know. I don't think there's many left nowadays. Are bounce backs reduced? Yes. He also mentioned it in yesterday in this review. He talks about the bounce backs and the stunning of defenders. It's like here, like you see like this one here. So you see in FC25, when you would go to tackle the ball, because of the way the physics of the game was, there has to be, so let's say you win the ball is then won, this tackle is successful, but then the players collide and there has to be some outcome here of who goes forward, and sometimes the natural physics and the body of the player will be pushed in the right direction and they'll win the ball back. It's FC26. FC25 should I say. Same thing here. You can see the ball gets bounced back, and you can see sometimes without anticipate playstyle, the ball will go towards the opponent, and this was a big issue inside the game, and the ball will go in the other favor. You see FC26, the player gets stunned a little bit. You see that when they kind of get incapacitated for a second only on a successful tackle, they basically get incapacitated for about a second and a half, is what the developer said yesterday. I think it's fine because this is the only solution. Maybe reducing incapacitability a little bit so you can just reposition yourself would be a good idea in the future. But I think for now, this is a good solution because the bounce backs are, of course, a big thing. Now, I'll be honest, I can tell you from what I've experienced, almost little to no bounce backs at all. In some small situations where, of course, physically, maybe the player collides and the ball just strides in that direction. But I almost, like, let's say out of the games that I played, I might have experienced one bounce back. And I think that had to happen in the game. So it's not like there's none, but it's nowhere near this year. Let's say they've gone from like 99% to like 1%, for example. Big change to bounce back. I was actually shocked that they actually changed it that much. Don't know what you guys thought about it. No one in their right mind is going to play a player out of position. Someone like me. When I did that, everyone laughed at me. Then I remember all these sheep started following along when I did fullback, centre back. All laughed at me. They weren't laughing after. Have they moved the game speed options? I'm not. No, they haven't. I'm not too sure on that. I have to wait for the career mode deep dive to come out. But the sliders are probably the best thing that you're going to have. I can really only show you. Excuse me. I can only really show you what's over here. But probably wait for that deep dive to come out. I'll probably answer that question in more detail. I'd rather the FC points in one go. I agree. I think they staggered the release of FC points for the sole reason to not overinflate the market, to make goals last longer as well. That's what I would say. What's going on, Matt Gamer? Became elite. Congratulations, Matt. That's been a long time. Are you allowed to say or know how we get the beta and how we get it? Yeah, I can talk about the beta, but I can only tell you like... So the beta, I can only tell you historically what happens. The beta comes out historically in August. I would say towards the end of July, kind of to beginning of August, the codes normally come out. I will make a video on it. Unless they do some radical change and they don't release the beta this year, which I don't think they will do that, because they've done it year in, year out, every single year without fail. So I would say just expect from the historical standpoint, if history tells anything, it's going to repeat itself. So let's assume it's August. I'll make a video on how to get the code. Is passing OP? Yes. But is the ball speed faster than the running player? Well, it would depend. Sterling's heading back to Arsenal. Don't break my heart. What's going on, Redman? Long time no see. I mentioned goalkeeper movement before. I was saying that goalkeeper movement is still there. It's a step. But I think goalkeeper movement is not an issue if finishing is very good and goalkeepers in general are weakened. If that's the case, then I think goalkeeper movement is not an issue, if you're asking me. But finishing has to be very good and goalkeepers should not be as effective. Is technical plus a must if you want to dribble? No. Cohen, you can actually dribble with the left analog stick. I was actually shocked. It's possible to play in summer weather via settings. Yes, I think it's wind effects, weather effects. You can probably do summer equivalent. The difference in tackle animation according to stats is massive. Look, I agree, man. Like, I'll be honest, when you know how you guys hear something and you don't believe it? Like, I was the same. Like, when I saw this, like, obviously, look, at the end of the day, I'm still a creator and I'm still a player just like you guys. Like, I give feedback on the game and I might help them tune something and give as much feedback as I can. Say, oh, what you should change. But I don't make the game, okay? At the end of the day, they call the shots. Whether they want to implement my feedback is up to them. They call the shots. This is like, for those that don't understand, it's like going into McDonald's and me telling the cashier behind, like, oh yeah, you should change this in the burger. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't think I'm in it, but when they said, oh, tackles are, bounce backs are going to be reduced, I was thinking it might be like 10-20%. You know, the word on play. But I was shocked when it's almost always reduced now. Again, it's not completely. There's still going to be maybe one or two situations in, like, maybe, but you might, instead of getting it 10 times per game, you might get it 0 or 1 time per game is what I was saying. But that's what I was shocked. It's all with this new stun feature where you can see, as long as it's timed correctly and like your foot is next to the ball, and assuming you're defending the way that I've taught you, you're not doing none of this advanced defending, bruiser, overplay nonsense. But let's say you're actually timing the tackle at the right time and your positioning is perfect. Then it's very, very, very effective. Again, I was almost as shocked as you guys when I saw it and I played it. I thought it wouldn't be as effective, but yeah. Can we just flick the RS and the game is a skill move for you? Yeah, Lacan, I agree. The simplified skill move is what you're referring to, right? But it's not as powerful as a normal skill move. So what they say is, still we recognize that requiring a complex series of inputs makes skill moves accessible to some fans. You cannot access a contextually appropriate skill move, so it won't be like a first time Elastico, with a simple flick of the right stick in any cardinal direction. More information can be found in the skill move section. So we're going to go over here to the skill move section. Where is it? Here it is. So look here. These are the new skill moves. This one is OP, by the way. And then you can see, look, what they've done is, look, the setting is available inside accessibility menus. You activate it by flicking the RS in 4 directions, okay? Now, this is the most important part. This is very important. The skill move performed changes depending on the skill star ratings, like a 5-star skill moves, 4-star skill moves. A higher star skill rating equals to more accuracy and fast animation speed. So you can't just spam this with anyone. But you can see 1 or 2, all you can do is a low skill roulette, a ball roll, which you could do anyway. And then a feint turn forward and move. 4-star roulette, stop and turn, and feint forward and exit. None of these are like step overs or necessarily very effective skill moves. Maybe the 5-star ones where you could do like a flare nutmeg, a drag turn, or a 3-touch roulette. Maybe these ones you can argue are a bit more powered, but how many people have a 5-star skill moves? I don't think it's as... I think these ones, like, which is like 99, this is like only like less than 1% of players. Like, how many players have 5-star skill moves inside the game? I don't even know. There's like a handful, like maybe 30 out of thousands of players. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a big issue, but it's not going to be as fluid as a normal skill move. You're going to have more control over with a normal skill move as opposed to the simplified skill moves. But I think it's more accessibility setting, I would say. Is there anything I can type? Yeah, you can send me a message on Discord. What do you think about the game overall? I really like the game. Let me ask you a question as well, chat. What do you want to see in the game? Like, if, let's say, what do you want to see in FC26? And maybe I can ask you a question to see if it's been answered. Specifically defense. I think defense is... You see, defense is an interesting one because, okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm a very good defender, okay? For someone that's not good at defending, will they maybe struggle more? Perhaps. And maybe that's a good thing. So maybe you can argue indirectly, without trying to be ambiguous, but AI defending, in effect, could be less effective this year for the average person, is what I would say. Can we make kickoff competitive? You can. You can make kickoff competitive or authentic. Same with I think it's career mode and the player career. You have both game modes available. However, in squad battles, pro clubs, rivals, ultimate team, there is only competitive available. You can't go to authentic. Yes, David, is a feature you can turn on and off. Left stick movement is the thing that I love the most. Honestly, I love it the most. But I agree, it's a good thing to have this in, but I agree they need to monitor it to make sure it's not overly effective, but they can always reduce the animations later. That's something that can be fine-tuned after. What's your Discord? Just have a look at the description. I think it's there. Michu, I'll be honest, left stick, much better. Attacking AI, better, but I think it can be improved more. And less emphasis on touches. I think all those three have made progression. So I think compared to last year, it's definitely, look, as I always say, look, the most important thing is the ship sailing in the right direction. Understand that. In my opinion, before, the ship was either standing still, sinking, or the workers, or the sailors were getting buckets, throwing water out. But it was never really going in the right direction. But I can say for this time, first time it's going in the right direction. Good afternoon, Neil. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. How is defending? Is it better than before? I would say it's better. What form? I'm just going to order some food. I'm going to order some Nando's, actually. I'm actually starving. So we just order Nando's in the meantime. And I'll probably end the stream in about 15 minutes. So let me know any other questions that you do have. I like more game modes where you can use different teams. I can't comment on that for now, Paul, unfortunately. Can we have build-up passing plays, like breakdown teams where we have to rely on giving us a score? I think you can do both. I've already answered that question. Do goalkeepers... If I don't answer a specific question, it's probably that I've answered it already. But if it's a quick one, I'll try to answer it again. Do goalkeepers still parry the ball back into the goalkeeper? No, they've changed that, Sean. But I would like goalkeepers... If it was my opinion, goalkeepers shouldn't be affected. I think they're going to have to monitor goalkeepers being overpowered. I think the problem is, in my opinion, they need to nerf goalkeepers even more. I think for the average player, it's fine, but I think this is not the correct way to go. I think they need to nerf it even more. That's why I think that beta is going to be so important. So guys, make sure you give your feedback. Remember I told you about the FC Feedback Hub? I talked about this yesterday. Because if I say something and no one else backs me, why would they listen? But if everyone else says the same thing that I'm saying, then they will listen. So guys, give your feedback. So important. Can you adjust sliders? Yeah, you can adjust sliders. I'm sure everyone has seen the deep dive, right? But yeah, you can adjust sliders. So if you're one of those, like I remember some guy said to me, Neil, you don't talk about authentic gameplay. If you're one of those guys that like to spend 30 minutes playing slow gameplay, yep, you can decrease all the sprint speed, acceleration, shots, whatever you want to do. You can reduce passing speed. You can reduce all this ball control, interceptions. You can adjust this and play like you would in real life and pass the ball around for 30 minutes. If you want to do that, you can. However, I have absolutely no interest in authentic game. Well, very little, I would say. James, they've changed stadiums, by the way. I mean, not stadiums. They've changed shadows. So now, no more shadows. Thank the Lord. You still attack from behind? They've reduced it. Which is better? CDMs, always. Does player lock still work? Yes. Is it a big deal that EA remove time finishing? Yes, I explained this in the beginning of the vlog, the stream, and also mentioned it yesterday. I'll be honest, most people are... Actually, chat, can everyone type the ages in the chat? I'm actually very curious. Most of my viewers are like 30, 40-year-olds. I mean, of course, you still do have some younger audiences that are trying to improve in the game. But most of my audience are much older. So let me know how old you are in the chat. I think it's going to be like... There'll be like 30 to 50-year-olds in the chat, 100%. I think people think my chat is like a bunch of 10-year-olds. Absolutely not. It's all adults. Do you think most 10-year-olds are going to like me? I don't shout and scream. And I probably say facts and I say things how it is. They're not going to like me, I think. So, I think this is the big misconception. People think my chat is young. They're all adults. The casual player. And the competitive players, but of course they're not going to be. Of course, there's still going to be some younger people in the chat that want to get over the game. But like, I would say, there's people are going to put down like 30, but they're probably 40. Will bouncebacks be a thing? No. As reduced camera angles. There's a new. Okay, thank the Lord. I thought I said something might have broken NDA there. I was like, no. I'm sure it was there. There's a new camera angle in the game. I was about to make some nonsense up and completely steer that conversation away, but no. There is a new camera angle inside the game, compared to the camera angle. I really like it because it doesn't wave. It doesn't really pan, which distorts your vision. People think, like, there's some people, like, I cannot believe this exists, but there's some people, I cannot believe this even, they lack so much common sense, but there's some people that think the tele broadcast makes the game quicker. Of course it doesn't, it's just perception. How can the game be quicker for one person playing on one side with co-op and then the other person? It's of course all perception. But this new camera angle is really good because it's like the co-op camera angle, but it's more zoomed out. You can see everything, and I'm presuming you can adjust the height and the camera angle as well. But you can see everything, the entire pitch. You can see the right back on the other side. You can see, look, just over there. You can see that right back just over there. You can see everything. You can also see the whole pitch immersion. And it doesn't pan left, right. It stays static and the camera angle moves along, slides side to side. So it gives you the best visual. This camera angle is very good. I am very much looking forward to using this camera angle. Can we make competitive kickoff? Yes. 38, 49, 30. So you can see, look at average age in the chat. Look, the average age just in this chat is probably like 40, I'd probably say. Of course, it's going to be still people like 16, 15, 20s, and people like 50s. But I would say the average age is much older. And don't forget, join the Discord. There's people in my Discord. I think there's one guy in my Discord, really good guy. He's part of my Patreon, actually. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The guy's 70 years old and he plays FC. What a legend. Part of my Patreon as well. Really good guy. This question was actually a very interesting one. Are they bringing back top 200 champs channel? I don't know, actually, no. But I don't think they are. But we'll find out in the Ultimate Team pitch notes. But I want them to bring it back. I think there's some reasonings. There's certain things I can't say on it, but there's reasonings why they can't bring it back. There's some limitations. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say some of that stuff, but that's all I can say safely. I'll have to ask them if I can say something, but that's it. What's the competitive camera angle? I've just shown that. Perfect timing. What's going on, Blind Gamer? Yes, I know. I saw. I don't want to plunge miles per hour. Every shot is 2 seconds, scoring the same goals. Check with the Haaland. That's why this is why this authentic gameplay is good, because anyone that wants to play the game slowly and not quick, you have your authentic sliders. You can play in rain, wind, snow, and I think there's also a feature last year where like the ball kind of makes a dent in the ground. Look, I don't care about visual stuff. Like, okay, yes, visual stuff is nice to have, but gameplay is the most important thing for me. Nor do I care about, look, I like obviously Ultimate Team, but I don't care about like what dynamic image my card has. Like, people get excited by dynamic image. I couldn't care less. Like, if you're asking me, I couldn't care less. I give Ultimate Team feedback on what I want to see. For example, new in the game, new features, new game modes, stuff like that. But I don't care about a dynamic image, so I don't give feedback on that. That's like another team altogether. I'm in the gameplay, but I also give feedback to the Ultimate Team design councils. But there's different design councils. Like, there's a Pro Clubs one. There's a gameplay. Gameplay basically encompasses everything anyway. So technically, I'm involved in all of them, technically speaking. But there's a Pro Clubs one. There's like career modes one. And there's like purely Ultimate Team content ones. But you can see authentic, lower speed dribbling. So like you can have, it's more realistic. More physics-based goalkeepers, hyper motion, more realistic tackle accuracy, greater AI defending, because most authentic players who play player mode, career mode, then there's no chance they'll get into Elite Division. The average authentic player, probably like Division 5, 6, maybe even lower than that. So that's why they need a greater AI defending in authentic is very, very important, because what happens is that's why a lot of them are complaining this year, because they play authentic and the game mode was 7. It would be like 7-7 at half time. But if you're playing against semi-pro at half time, because the issue they had is they play semi-pro, maybe it's too easy, or maybe it's easy for them and they score 7 goals, and then they complain, why is it 7-7? But you're playing a game unlike real life where you're passing the ball around for a long time. They're playing 30 minutes each half. But if they play against a legendary AI, they're going to get beaten 50-0 in the first half. So this is the issue. This is why they try to separate the gamers out, and like they made it more realistic, tied to positioning in midfield, more realistic headers, and stuff like that. More animations, human-like interactions, slower animations in authentic gameplay. But that's not for us in authentic gameplay. But if anyone is interested, you can. Where to ask questions? Just there. What would you rate FC 26 out of 10? It's different because I've played so many different versions. So just to give you a bit of an example, there's a version that I play and there's a version everyone else plays, and the version design council plays. Every version is different. So if I tell you if one version is good, when the beta comes out, that will be a complete different version. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt it's much better than FC 26, but I can't put a number on it because it's like, imagine me making a burger in my kitchen. I might put ketchup on it one time. I don't know how to cook, but let's just say I made a burger and I put ketchup on it, and I'll be like, oh, that tasted good. The second time I might put more ketchup and put some mayonnaise on it. If I then try to recreate that burger and give you the same one, it could be some terrible concoction. So the point I'm trying to make is I can't put a number on it, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, this game is much better than FC 25, without a shadow of a doubt. Can y'all stop making yearly release? No, they're probably not going to stop doing that. That's just common sense. That's like asking the Premier League to make a league every 4 years. They're not going to do that. No company will do that. My biggest issue this year has been a lack of responsiveness, not being rewarded for good tackles. That's going to be fixed. High chance of a goal. I agree that needs to happen. But the responsiveness increased. Good tackles, you're going to be rewarded for. No worries, man. You can answer the questions here. I'm actually catching up with the chat as well. Why is there different versions? No, so the version that you would play will be different. So I'll explain to you. There's a version that we played in Vancouver, okay? Now, I was part of the very few select people that I can say that played the game even earlier. I can't say for how long, can't say for when, but like that version gets updated and changed, and then the beta version, like the game is still in work in progress. So the beta is going to be an updated version. So let's say, for example, I played the game and I gave feedback right now. The Enforcer playstyle, let's just say as an example, the Enforcer playstyle is very effective. I'm not saying it is, but as an example, the beta, when it comes out, they could just completely change it during that time. So do you understand the point I'm trying to make to you? Is that a lot of these things, they basically hope the music's not too loud, by the way. Hope it's not too loud. Anyway, yeah, but these things will change, if that makes sense. You are hungry? I've honestly not eaten. Literally, I just flew back. I'll give you the. Oh my god, EA just made a tweet. EA made it. They just made a tweet. Can I show you this? Hang on, let's see. Can you see that? What am I doing? Let me just go on Twitter. What am I doing? But EA just made a tweet. You've got to be careful. Sometimes Twitter, you can have trust it. But EA just made a tweet. Responsive, rewarding, and enjoyable. Never seen them tweet something like that. But yeah, look, I just came back from Vancouver. It's a long flight. It's like 11 hours. Flight was slightly delayed. Literally got back. I was editing the video on the plane. Literally. Got back, uploaded a video, had a quick 2-hour nap, writing down notes, and then I woke up again. I've not eaten since I actually flew back yesterday. So I'm actually starving. So I want to order some food, but I'll continue to answering the last few questions that we have. But make sure you check out this interview with the developer. It's a really good interview. He went out of his way to answer all my questions. He also went into nitty gritty. I was asking him some like real technical questions, and I was asking him like, you know, what happens here, what happens there, how has it changed, and he gave some information that went beyond the gameplay deep dive. So most definitely check that out. Massive thank you again to Kancho for, of course, answering every question. And it was really good. He mentioned something on like the responsiveness of left stick touches. Were very, very good. Make sure you watch that, but you can watch that after this live stream, if that makes sense. The trivela is still overpowered. No, it's been gated now by a playstyle as well. I think S25 is the worst version ever. I think FC24 is the worst version ever, if you're asking me. Do you think they're going to approve the anti-cheating? I can't comment on it. I don't know anything on it. I can't comment for now. For me, playstyle should barely be important. I agree. I completely agree, Koksu. And you know what? They have changed it. They have changed it. Look, play styles bring player personality and unique ability will be heard loud and clear. The gap between top tier attributes, as you said, 90 shooting, finishing. You can't score low driven, but you need a play style to perform a basic pass. It was ridiculous. But they've now reduced it. The gap was far too wide. They've now toned it down where play styles are more like a bonus. You know, it's like getting a cake and putting a cherry on top of it. But before, play styles was basically the whole cake. Attributes was the bloody candles. So now they basically made it so look, because before, you know, to do a tiki-taka pass, you almost needed, or a through ball, you needed incisive pass. You know, think about it. A good through ball, you needed incisive pass. And now they basically rebalance attributes. So now, if you got the high attributes, you can still do that through ball more reliably. But now if you have that play style, you get that additional bonus, that additional boost. Whereas before, it wasn't like that. So yes, I agree. Last year, it was heavily reliant on play styles. And I felt like you needed play styles where that is not the case anymore. And like they can always adjust that gap as well. fundamentals are very, very important. Can't speak on crossplay. Really can't. We're not able to see the mini map. That's actually a good point. What do you mean, the contrast of the mini map or something? Why cinemas don't come back on the fence? I don't know. I want them to come back on the fence. I think they've tuned it slightly, but I think I agree with you. I think center mid should be more involved in the defending areas. It's some feedback that I've been given back as well. And of course, like some of this feedback, remember you can also give it. So like some of this feedback I give them, and sometimes I also, because I also speak to the developers as well, so I give them feedback in person when I go to Vancouver to play the event, and I also send them the feedback as well. And you can do the same via the FC feedback. Make sure you do that. I need to make a short link for this FC feedback, because who's going to be typing this long URL in? But I will make for the portal. Click on share feedback. You get taken to this Discord. But I'll make a short link that will basically save you time. It'll be like something like this: 0.2 tactics. It'll be something like that, or it'll be like something like, hang on, patch. So I'll make a 0.2 feedback or something. I'll get if I forget, just remind me. Make sure you join Discord, by the way. And of course, you want to get ahead in the game, join the Patreon. Some exclusive videos coming out, early access, the meta, things like that. That's going to go beyond what you see on YouTube over here. We'll save some of that for the Patreon as well. But yeah, like, as meant to say I was going, but ended up here for another 20 minutes. I actually really enjoy streaming. I should probably stream a lot more. Maybe I probably will next year, but I generally really enjoy streaming. I just like talking, and I think I used to really enjoy. If any OGs were here, I know there's a few in the chat streaming like back in the day. Where's my tennis AC off? It's getting a bit chilly now. But yeah, back in the days, they used to just play it. When will you start consider creating content for the Patreon? We've already started creating content for the Patreon. I'll give you a sneak peek. Precision shooting. Start learning it now. But we'll talk about other settings that I know that will help you. I'll give you some of the obvious ones here, but some of the secret settings and things that are effective and overpowered, I'll leave that for the Patreon this year. I'll leave that. Are low drivens the most meta? I would say one of them. I would say. What's the best way we could practice the fundamentals? Yes, just a 4-4-2. Also, maybe tone down the players that you use with all these play styles that can sometimes be too overpowered. How visible was the UI in a match as the weak foot indicator? I actually like it, man. What do you guys think of this this indicator on the? I'm just gonna wait for this. But you see at the bottom. Why did it pause? Let me find another. Hang on. Hang on 1 second. Let me go to camera. There it is. Yeah, this UI, hopefully it's here. Okay, you're here. So just give me 1 second, let it load, let it open up. And you're going to see that fade away. Look, have a look at the bottom. So it is not that intrusive, is it, guys? Look. You can see, look here. It's very, very clear. You can see what skill moves a player is. You know, if someone's got a 5-star weak foot. And something you got to bear in mind. Have a look at this. Very, very interesting, right? Focus on the bottom left, okay? So you see when the ball gets passed into that region, do you see how it faded away? Like watch, show you again. Then it fades ever so slightly. So it doesn't actually even break the gameplay if you use, for example, a camera angle and you're worried that the ball's going to go in that radio. It's like the radar as well. I was about to say, you see the radar fades away, then it comes back again. So of course, like if the radar doesn't really interfere with the gameplay, so I think it's not that. What do you guys think? You think that's too intrusive? You could just turn it off. You can literally just turn it off. If you really don't like it, just turn it off, guys. What is it called? I don't know what the official term for it. Indicator. Oh, they made a new control indicator. I don't know what the exact terminology they call it. There's a terminology that I use, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. But that was like what we they talk about. But anyway, I don't know what it's actually called. Let me have a quick look. Does anyone know what it's called? Just saves me time searching through all this. I forgot what the official comms is for it, but yeah. I agree, Sorga, that's true. Later to the party, we talked about servers yet? We talked a bit about servers. You can go back a little bit. Player name bar. Here it is. So look, the new customizable player UI lets you tailor your on-screen experiences. You can adjust information displayed, choose preferred layout, highlight the info that matters the most. So if you don't want it, you can just turn it off. So look, you can say, look, hey, this is the one. So they call it player name bar or name information bar. Okay. So look, you can individually turn on and off the playstyle icons. Like you can have like 4 playstyles here, for example, like last year. The foot icons, the footedness, what they call it, or the skill moves rating. All are set on by default. I wish they had just numbers here. I wish you could change this to numbers. That would be a cool idea. I don't want to see this like. I want to see, for example, like 5-5. That'll be easier. You know what I mean? But anyway, you can see what playstyles available, what skill move rating is. If they're left foot, right foot, the strong foot is highlighted with a double border, black and white. So you can see if someone is left-footed, they're going on the left-hand side. The weak foot is on a 5-point scale, or they're going up to the heel. Like this. I mean, I would just prefer if they have numbers, to be honest. That's what I would say. That's probably my priority. Maybe in the future, they can probably change that. Assist is still a thing online? It is. It's still a thing. It's just a shooting, yeah? I'm just saying learn precision anyway. There are classic teams. What do you mean by that? I love watching videos. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Falcon. What formation did they rebalance? They mentioned in a trailer. They basically reduced. Well, they not reduced. They changed how AI defensive and how players are positionally changed inside the game. I'm gonna have to do more testing on that to let you know. But I'm hoping they've done enough to nerf 4-2-1-3. I still got to do a lot of testing. A lot of testing on the formations. I'm a developing country. I understand. We're looking maybe at, to be honest, we already underpriced the Patreon. To be honest, like I want to be honest, we should be, for what we give, we should be charging a lot more. But we may have some discount when the game comes out this year. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. But that's why we just made videos only for that price. But I understand in certain emerging and developing countries, I understand it's quite expensive. Also, I want classic teams back. I don't know, Lego fan, if you're asking me honestly. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't comment on that. I actually do not know. All right, chat. Is there any other final questions anyone asked about gameplay? Feel free to ask anything. If I missed anything, just answer again. I'm gonna try my best. Anything? I'm trying to scroll up and see if I missed anything. I think the power curve. So I think Foot Accountant made a video with Foot Economist. I don't want to quote anything because I'm probably going to quote a word incorrect and it's going to change everything. But he talked about many things. I don't want to show the video here because it's copyright. It's his video. I'm not with permission. But just go and type in Foot Accountant. You can check his. We all did different interviews, I think. Ryan has a video out as well. Make sure you check his. And this was my video. I mean, I can even answer some of the questions here. Fix the game on PC. Okay, usual. PRIS. What? Oh, this is an interesting one. Changes to auto press and auto offside. So they've effectively changed how the... So you guys know how fatigue works. The new fatigue system, when you're selecting a player, that player is not affected by fatigue. What I'm probably going to do is do a separate video. So this is just a stream. I wanted to answer all the key questions and also give me ideas. I will then make a video where I talk about everything that I experience gameplay wise, how this is, how passing is. But I want to do the Q&A first because it kind of give me some ideas what to talk about. But auto offside, they've reduced the frequency of how the players push up, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I'll say. I think this was asked already by him in the chat. Is it finally a foul some tackles you're behind? They reduced tackle from behind as well. But yeah, make sure you check out that interview. Very, very good interview. Well, it's a bit up myself, but I think it was a very good interview of what he replied. Are some stadiums change camera angles? That camera angle is only for Ultimate Team only. That is the only thing I don't like, this camera angle. I wish it was for all stadiums, but the problem is the way camera angles work is every stadium has a different view path. That's why sometimes, you know, you can glitch around and the camera angle can be behind a stadium. Every stadium has a different angle. So this is for the FEWC stadium or whatever it's called. Something like that. Can you buy me FC26? Or can you buy me a Ferrari? I'm just going to assume here that you... but yeah, that's probably one of the downsides, I would say. Definitely stadiums. I wish that there was a camera angle as universal, but there isn't. How effective is team press? I would say it's the same as last year. I didn't notice any other major differences, but I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, that's the competitive camera angle. It's locked to that stadium. It's a bit of an unfortunate thing. Did you explain fatigue? Yeah, so this is where you asked about pressing. So I don't know if you remember, I made a video about this. Fatigue basically affects many things: agility, strength, reactions, composure, acceleration. So when a player is tired, they are more likely to be affected by fatigue. So let's say you had 0 stamina, maybe your player's got 99 agility, but with zero stamina or 1 stamina, they're not going to be turning as quick as they should when they should, or maybe they won't react as well. This is due to fatigue. So this is actually something that I suggested to them, actually. Was to remove fatigue from all players, but they've kind of got a good balance. It's also, so they basically do it to only the player that's selected. So short-term and long-term fatigue only affects AI controlled players. User controlled players are not affected while being controlled. So what this means is, let's say, for example, again, let's go for another one of my Picasso drawings. Should have been an artist. Let's say this is the player that you're selecting. Let's say you got like multiple players here, yeah? Okay, now let's say your opponent does a through ball in behind, okay? Now, let's say your opponent is running. It's only the player that you selected. So this player over here, let's say you're selecting this guy over here. This player will have no fatigue. That player there. So it's only the player. So if I select this player here and then I run with him, only he won't have the effect. He or she won't have the effects of stamina, basically. So understand, it's only the AI players. They act basically effectively the same. Short and long-term players affect AI control players. But when you select your striker and you're running in behind, you are going to get no fatigue at that point, because of course effect as you can see, when controlling a player, the effect of fatigue on a sprint speed acceleration is not in effect. Could this be too effective? So that means basically a player is fully stamina. So you could, for example, have 99 sprint speed player at 90 minutes running at full speed, but then also your defender does the same thing as well. So it'll be interesting, the balance. I like it. Excuse me. Do you think shooting position will be the most meta? I don't think it'll be the most meta, but I think it'll be very effective at scoring. Probably the most effective at scoring, yes. One flick skill moves. You're handicapped. You have a handicap, and yeah, I think this it's called simplified skill moves. We talked about them already, so you can go back earlier. I think it's like 10 minutes ago. But it's very, very simple. All you do is, and I think it's actually really good. Like, I've got wrist pain, I'll be honest. Like, but It's very, very simple. You just flick your right stick forward, left, up, or down. That's what you got to do in multiple directions. And depending on your skill moves, so if it's like 3 to 4, and let's say the ball is far away and it comes towards you and you flick your RS to the right hand side, you're going to do a roulette. If it's 5-star, you end up doing a 3-touch roulette. So it's actually quite seamless and simple to do. Of course, normal skill moves are still going to be reigning superior and the control, but that is one thing you got to bear in mind. This is going to change your max enough stamina stats. Yes and no, index, but it still affects. So this is something too important when it comes to stamina. Yeah, it's look, user controlled players are not affected, but CPU controlled players in competitive tuning are also not affected by fatigue. And examples when playing squad battles. I mean, hang on, wait, hang on. Okay, I think the wording on this is a bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure the other players that are not being used, they still use stamina, the AI players. But it's the player you're selecting that has basically 100% stamina. It's probably a better way of explaining it. So the player that has 100% stamina is the one that's selected, if that makes sense. Maybe you could argue the wording isn't the best over here. Unless I'm wrong, but that's from what I understand to be correct. So yes, so in the example you gave, so you gave this example, right? So you're saying, look at this Picasso. Josh should sell these drawings, honestly, absolutely fantastic. So you're saying, let's say this player has, let's say at the bottom has 30% stamina, okay? When you select them and they're controlled, and that's when you have that red icon above their head, then effectively they're going to have 100% stamina. So the player that you've selected with the red marker above the head, and for your opponent, it will be the player with the white marker. So obviously when your opponent is playing, how do you know which players are being played? You see selected, you see the white marker, right? So that white marker is going to be your opponent's going to have full stamina. So equally, if the opponent's got the center back defender and they run back with that defender, that's going to have full stamina. So you could argue that manual defending is increased because if that's the attacker, and let's say over here is my defense, let's say I want to put this player in black for contrast here. And let's say, for example, this is my player and I'm running back and defending. I'm also going to get the 100% stamina. So it works both ways. So this one, I'm saying, arguably, those that rely on AI defending, see a through ball in behind, that's going to be a you problem. You have to make sure you select your defenders. Should we work without defending without second man press? No, I think second man press is very important. You don't need it, but I think it is important. How's OK movement? It's basically the same. As in when you move your right analog stick, you mean? I hope you're doing well, Steve, man. I appreciate your kind words. Is authentic gameplay? I don't know about that, Abdullah. Sorry, man. I don't know what the authentic gameplay mod is. I don't know. I think precision shooting is better overall for finishing. I think everyone will be using that one. Yes, but we know how defenders are. We struggle to chase back. But that's the point I'm trying to say, Index. You got to choose that player yourself. The key is you have to select the player yourself. That is the most important. That's the point I've been trying to explain. Is that when you're defending, you got to select the player yourself. If you don't, you're going to be screwed. Okay, now literally it's going to be 5 minutes now. My food has already been ordered like half an hour ago. I don't know what's taking so long. How is right stick switching? Right stick switching is already good in a game. You just need to use ball relative. I don't know why no one listens to me. I've been telling everyone for years to use ball relative. If you use ball relative, right stick switching is almost perfect. Very rarely will it make a mistake. I just don't understand why no one uses it. How many people in the chat use ball relative, by the way? Like, I just don't understand people just don't use ball relative. Like, why do they still use player relative? It's only if you're a professional player, there is a benefit of high level pressing with player relative. Otherwise, if you're asking me, everyone should be using ball relative. If you're struggling with player switching right now, you should be using ball relative. I've already made so many videos on this. But if you use ball relative, it's almost a 99.99% success rate, whereas player relative is around 70%. That's just going to be general figures that I'm just coining and naming right now, but that's the difference. Like in every 10 tries, you might have 3 errors with player relative, and maybe you have to do it again to switch. But with ball relative, it's almost 99%. Sometimes if there's a player nearby, it can mess up, but like most of the time, it's almost precise. Squad builders are very fun. Any insights? Vince, I can't talk about that yet because the Ultimate Team deep dive's coming in August. So unfortunately, I can't say anything until that is released. I'm not too sure when the exact date is, but yes, Sean, Relentless. So that's what they're talking about, Relentless here. So look, not this one. Relentless have changed to increase how quickly your short-term stamina fatigue recovers. No, will also contribute to increasing the speed of short-term stamina regeneration. Will this encourage use of 100 depth? No, because it's only the player you're selecting. You might not be indexed. You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. But I think there's many gameplay things as well. How is keeping movement? Are trivelas still good? I've already mentioned this. No. Do you see any changes to physicality? Yes. More physical players are going to be much more responsive and rewarding. It's probably the best way I can probably describe it. Yeah, they're going to be more physical, more rewarding, 100%. So I'm just checking where this driver is. Where is this guy going? Has this guy stolen my food? Has this guy literally stolen my food? He's going the opposite way. I don't know what this guy's doing. But he appears to be going away from me. No worries, man. Thanks, Sean. Is acceleration type still a thing? Okay, that's actually a good point, actually. Acceleration type. So, they have removed acceleration types. Well, sorry. They've gone back to the old acceleration 1.0. They've got explosive, lengthy, and they also have controlled. So just 3. So now you're either explosive or lengthy. If you don't meet these conditions, then you're basically controlled. So someone is explosive. The agility is minimum 65. The agility has to be agility minus strength. Don't forget bid mass or bod mass, whatever you call it. So brackets first. So it's agility minus strength, and has to be greatly equal to 10. Acceleration has to be minimum of 80. So that means someone like Virgil van Dijk, who's got low acceleration, cannot be explosive, which in my opinion, explosive. Like the community thinks lengthy is the meta, but they're all wrong. It's actually explosive. But we'll come back to that another day. And they've also distributed, because obviously men are biologically taller than women, so they've just distributed the scales a bit differently. And then lengthy is someone who's got a strength of minimum 65, and the strength minus agility has to be greater than equal to 4, and acceleration has to be above a minimum of 40. Otherwise, they're probably going to be controlled. And again, so everyone that's basically under 6 foot and that's fast is going to be explosive. Excuse me. Adjusted those have yeah, so the deceleration of players is meant to be faster and snappier. And then, of course, they basically improve jockeying, making them more responsive and agile. Improves maneuverability. They've increased the swivel turns. I can say I've noticed that. And low urgency animation, not directly involved in the play, and less frantic, have them accelerate when they're needed. So you could argue more responsive. Goalkeepers' deflections have been adjusted as well. All right, chat. I think I'm going to call it there. Any other final questions now? Do they fix headers? What do you mean by fix headers? As in, hopefully complete enough to enter the ground? I hope so. I do think headers are. I like you're my honest stance on headers. It's a low skill goal. Like it takes literally no skill. What they need to probably do is do some sort of like manual cross where you aim like a precision lob pass. They got to do something like that where you actually have to aim it into the box, because that's the only way that I personally, they've not done this, but I'm saying this is what they should do. You also talk about a new camera. If we've talked about everything basically, we're not going to go over it again, but you can go back. How the new roles in the game. The inside inverted wingback is my favorite. We suggest getting the game on PC. You're my honest opinion. Get the game on PC if you're not an elite player. If you're an elite player, it's not worth it. Overall thought, positive, much good. Trivela's still good. No, they gated behind the new playstyle. I just removal of green time shots. I'm happy about it, but I know a lot of people aren't. I'm actually very much in favor for it. I made a video on it. Well, I'm probably going to be making a video on it. But I'm happy for it. I mentioned in the interview yesterday, I don't know which segment it is, but I was talking about, for example, the reason why they basically made changes to and removed time shooting, and I just basically verified some things that I had an assumption as well. But yeah, you can check that out on my channel. But I think that will be it, chat. And yeah, the final question: how are corners? They're the same. You can now there's new hang on. Yep, it's there. There's new corner kick assignments at top of the box, defensive cover. So now you can choose who you want as defensive cover. No more your bloody striker is at the centre back position and there's a through ball in behind. So now there's near post, back post, target player, top of the box, and defensive cover. And there's the 4 different defensive ones. So there's a threat marker, post watcher, near post, back post. So no longer is my 5'1" striker basically marking the near post. There's a new spider chart based like the old school PES thing. Pretty cool. And now a big change, by the way. Yeah, check this out. Like the line height finally gets changed to tactics code. Big change should have been there. FC25 codes are compatible with FC26. Now this is the big one. Your ability to load tactics, so you can save up to 10 different tactics on your game. So like whenever I put like I don't know, shall I remove? Shall I remove this page? I mean, I just stopped updating it, guys. To be honest, because like after I got the meta tactics released, I stopped updating it. Do you think I should still do this tactics thing where I give the codes out? People skip to the video anyway, but like even though these codes, the other reason why I stopped giving these codes is because in the videos I explain, okay, decrease the depth if this is too attacking for you. Put inside forward roaming, put it on balanced if you're not that good at attacking and you're weak defensively. So in the videos, I basically talk about the changes to the tactics and why you should make those changes. That's why kind of codes are a bit redundant. And then after a while, I realized that it takes longer. Let me tell you something, chat. Do any of you guys actually use codes? Because it takes longer for you to implement a code in FC as opposed to just doing it yourself. It's quicker for you to change to a 4-4-2, see the tactics on the screen. Like in the beginning of the video, I show you, for example, the roles and stuff. It's easier for you to just use the right analog stick and change each player. It takes literally like 30 seconds to 1 minute maximum to change every single role of your starting 11, as opposed to entering a code that honestly takes a longer amount of time going back and forward, making sure it's bloody got capitals, uncapitals, and all that. Interesting. Let me know though what your opinion is on that. It'd be very, very interesting. But yeah, do stats matter more than playstyle? They do now, yes. Any role should be getting more used to in the game. Well, you can't because they're new, right? Within the meta of being its iteration, video will come soon on that. Our players that role still brain dead. They've reduced how ineffective they are, like static players that are out of position. Engineers of crossplay, PC market is still separate. PC market will always be separate because I think it's because of hackers. They don't want to risk the market being infected. Always self-tune. I just, people always ask, the reason I'm asking is people always ask about the codes in the videos, like in my tactics videos. And I'm like, number one, if you want to copy the code, just bloody skip to the end of the video and copy the code. But it takes longer to do. And even then, do you not want to see why I did that? I don't know. Everyone's different, right? Something I never understood. But look, guys, I will make a video about my thoughts to gameplay as a whole. That will be coming very, very soon. They've already released this. I thought they were going to release this a bit later on. The rush stuff. Oh, yeah. Shall I make a video where I go through the picture notes, everything in detail, and talk about every aspect and what I found different? What do you guys think? Or should I just make a general video where I talk about the changes in SC26? Well, I'm going to make that video anyway, but do I just make a video on like, oh, how I experienced the game, what's different, how dribbling is, stuff like that. But you see, like dribbling, much more fluid. That's just less stick, by the way. So much more fluid. I feel like you could actually dribble. Whereas you couldn't before. And by the way, relax. Super relax. Make sure you also send your feedback in the FC Hub as well. Don't forget. Well, guys, is Tiki Taka a must? Nope. 4-2-1 still meta? Potentially, yes. S26 is much more responsive. But anyway, guys, look, thank you very much. Very, very much for tuning in. I might do some more of these. I actually really enjoy these. I will get back to you very, very soon with regards to this. Stay tuned for the videos. How long have we been streaming for? I don't know. It's been like 30 minutes. Oh my god, it's been 2 hours. Bloody hell. 2 hour stream. Going over all your questions. But I hope this helped. I'll do a follow-up video very, very soon. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Like the video, of course, and comment. And do me a favor, guys. Like and comment all my videos when you see them. It helps push them in the algorithm. The algorithm's kind of been a bit against me recently. So just testing some things out. So every time you see a new video, please do leave that comment down below. And make sure you check out this interview. Really worthwhile watching. Some really good explanations in this video. They go beyond the pitch notes as well. But thank you very much. Take it easy. And don't forget the Patreon. We are also going to be releasing what you should adapt to. We've already released some videos already on the Patreon. More videos coming as time goes on. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.